Five. So, I'm gonna go ahead and bring the runners in, and let's get that started. All right, you are live.
Hello everyone, my name is TheScruffington, and today I'll be speedrunning some DMC5 Special Edition, new game Nero Dante the Human. Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is quite a mouthful, yes.
Yeah, joining me on commentary will be my good friend DE Cosmic, if you want to introduce yourself.
My name is DE Cosmic, and I also run this video game. How's it going?
All right, yeah, so I guess we'll get started with the countdown here. So 3, 2, 1, go. So at the start of this game, we'll be playing as Nero. Something you'll notice about this game on Special Edition is that it's running much faster than the base game. That's because Special Edition includes Turbo Mode, which is 20% faster than the original DMC5. So here's Nero. I'll be using a lot of Exceeds. That's really one of the main sources of damage throughout this game. Essentially, if you time your attacks and then rev up Nero's sword, it does a lot of damage. So I'll be doing that throughout the run.
Yeah, so Nero's sword has a motorcycle engine in it. And there's like a 7 or 8 frame window where if you press the Exceed button along with your attack, then it will give you not only more damage, but it'll give you increased attack speed. So we have to do this pretty much the entire time we're playing Nero in every section that he's in. What's going on here story-wise is that the squad is going to fight the Demon King Urizen. Devil May Cry is a business run by another one of the characters, Dante, and Nero is now part of it after the events of DMC4. And they're going to fight the Demon King Urizen. Spoilers, they're going to get washed. And this is actually a kind of sort of force fail. We're going to die here because it's faster to die here, but you can actually beat this boss and get like a secret ending or something. But we're not here for that. We're here to see the entire game. So there's also a little bit of manipulation that went on there a little bit ago, where if you jump to the left, shoot twice, and then taunt, Urizen is always going to throw that fireball at you. Nero's gun, by the way, is called the Blue Rose, and we don't use it like a ton in the run, but it's a Magnum that has 2 barrels in it, or a revolver that has 2 barrels, and it does a decent amount of damage. We also have this thing called style ranks, and after every mission, we'll be given a style rank, and this feeds into the economy for this game, which is decided by a currency called red orbs. Essentially, the higher you go from D through A and then S, the more red orbs you get. Going into this first mission here, Scruffington now gets access to Nero's unique mechanic, which is called the Devil Breakers. The Devil Breakers are a consumable item that is made by his mechanic, Nico. The first one that we have here is Overture, which is that blue hand. It operates on like a lightning thing. Every Devil Breaker has a charged up attack that you can do called a Breakage, where you hold down the Devil Breaker button and then release it in order to unleash its attack. The Overture one is a bomb specifically. So this boss right here, we're going to be trying to plant 3 Overture bombs on it. And ideally, we want to take no damage during this mission. No damage. Hey, very cool. No damage, by the way, gives us a nice 2 times bonus increase to our red orb count. So the main sort of bonuses that we're going to be getting during this run are the checkpoint, or the no continues bonus, as well as the no damage bonus. There's a couple of instances where we're not going to get the no continues bonus, like that prologue one right there, or like that was earlier, and then a couple other ones later on in the game. But during these first few levels, Scruffington really has to make sure that if he wants to set up like a really strong economy for this run, he has to make sure that he gets multiple no damages in a row. Fortunately, we've crafted a lot of these rooms around just being pretty safe and efficient, and not taking any damage at all. So it's a good time. He's going to pick up speed, which is speed. We want to go fast, so we have to run. That allows us to run faster. I don't know why it's an upgrade still, but that's besides the point. So we also got streak, split, and roulette spin. Roulette spin is going to be the big one here. Roulette spin allows Nero to do a sort of twirl in the air. He's going to flick the sword around. We're not going to use it in this fight. We're actually going to use split, which is the sort of like ground slam that Nero does with the sword there. And we're also introduced here to the wire snatch, or at least in a better capacity than we were in the last fight. The wire snatch here allows Nero to pull enemies to him. And this was something that really set him apart from Dante during his introduction in DMC4, was that he can bring enemies to him, whereas Dante's whole objective is to go to the enemies. Nero's ability to displace enemies is really what kind of makes a lot of his combat. That was a Mega Buster, dude. You just threw that away. What? How are you going to do the blue bomber like that, dude? Anyway, so...
I don't need it.
Fair enough. So the second Devil Breaker that we're going to be using here is called Gerbera, and it's named after a flower, I believe. It's that green hand there in the bottom right corner. And normally, its normal attack just kind of gives you an air dash, but when you unleash it, it's going to shoot a whole bunch of rays of like light into a room that deal a ton of damage. We'll see that a little bit later on here. The thing that we're going to be picking up here is called the Nidhogg Hatchling. It's basically this game's version of the Rusty Key. Shoutouts to DMC1, as well as Resident Evil. It's basically this game's keys, or these key items. No pun intended. They're not really of much importance. We just kind of need them to progress through. I should also know, by the way, that these Devil Breaker drops that Scruffington is picking up are fixed every time that we run the game on New Game. So these levels are routed around having a magazine full of Devil Breakers that is carefully constructed to optimize every fight. So he's going to use Overture there, the lightning hand, and then he's going to plant an Overture bomb on one enemy and then use it to kick it into the other enemy, and then shoot that one enemy with an explosive shot, and then they both blow up.
One of my favorite strats in the run.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a really early strat that was found. It's still one of the coolest out there. This last fight here in the hotel, by the way, the level design in this level particular is super good. He's going to clear out a few of these enemies with the roulette spins. Now, this game, by the way, has two types of wave management. There's kills, and then there's being timed. So, an enemy wave that is timed like this, no matter how fast you go on the first wave, the second wave is always going to come out at the same exact time, no matter what. Kills, the second wave is only going to come out when you kill a certain amount of enemies, or you kill certain enemies. That being said, that was a timed wave, so we don't need to waste any resources on that room. There's a small skip coming up here as well. This is actually a dev-intended skip. There's going to be a collapsing road that comes down. We call this pit skip because our names are boring, unlike Control, who has like the best skip names in all of speedrunning. And shout outs to the demonic robots. And he's just going to leap right over it and just keep going right onto the boss area here. There's going to be a phone ringing here. Unfortunately, Nero forgot his change at the van, so he's not going to be able to... He would have to dial collect, and he's not really going to charge the homies like that. So we're going to head into the first actual boss fight here, called Goliath. And Goliath is a big, beefy dude. And so Scruff's going to be wanting to do some roulette spins here, kind of take him down, force him into the second phase where he's going to be going into the church. And at that point, we're going to be unleashing the Gerber. You're going to see those rays of light coming out with the shotgun blast as well, right into the dome.
Ooh, unlucky.
Ooh. Did he hit you?
Yeah, he got me.
Oh, yeah, because you took him down really far. That's unfortunate. Oh, well. All you'll have to do is just sacrifice one purple orb on mission 4, so you should be good.
Yep. No worries.
So he's still got the church kill there. That is actually a phase skip, because normally what would happen in like a casual playthrough is you would fight Goliath in the church, and then he would sort of blow out the side of the church and then start doing like a giant vacuum attack, and then you'd go outside and fight them there. We don't got to do that. We just dump a couple Gerberas into him, and we're good to go. This third mission here, we're going to be introduced to a third punchline called Devil Breaker. A third Devil Breaker called Punchline. And Punchline is a rocket fist. We can ride it, actually. There's a very, very hard skip to do on this level in Special Edition that was actually patched from the original release. That's partially my fault. That's a long story, though. So we're going to keep going. It's really, really hard. So we're not actually going to be going forward here. And it would save about maybe 30 seconds or so with turbo mode on. Funny thing about turbo mode in this game with the work rate increase, the skips actually technically save less time because of the 20% work rate increase. So these bats, by the way, man, I forgot that there's a lot that actually gets introduced in this game really quickly. I forgot to even introduce the Hellcanis, dude. The Hellcanis from DMC3, and then the Hellbats here. They're just kind of on your screen and like that's it.
Yeah, ideally you'd like to keep them off screen, so that way when the enemies are off screen, they tend not to attack you. So they didn't attack me there, which is good.
Yeah, the Hellbats, if you try and keep them off screen, they're actually gonna like they'll try and come on screen to attack you, but that's way better than them like queuing up an attack because their projectiles are decently fast for the type of charge up that they have, and it can be real bad news bears pretty quickly. So then we're going to be coming into these sewer tunnels here. This is normally the section that we would skip with University Skip. Like I said, though, it's really, really hard to do in a marathon setting, and the new setup for it is not quite optimized. So we're just going to be playing through the level normally here. Fun fact also, Virgil on this level does not even need to do University Skip on human difficulty. It does not save any time. It's crazy.
Yeah, Virgil's literally so fast that skips are obsolete.
Yeah, it's wild. Also, this barrel here, he can shoot this in order to take these dudes out. Pretty neat. What else was I gonna say here? There's the Antinoras too. Yeah, they have armor on them. Forgot about them.
Yeah, for those ones, I'd usually just do a roulette and then jump and then do 2 more air attacks.
This next fight here with the Sin Scissors, or I guess the Death Scissors is what they were called in DMC1. Scruffington is going to be abusing a mechanic called parrying in this game, where you can knock an enemy off their feet essentially by attacking them when they attack you. So you see the scissor there glowing or shining, and then he'll just attack it while it's doing its attack. And this puts them in a vulnerable state. It's just this enemy specifically. It puts them in that vulnerable state where then you can one-shot them. So that fight pretty much always goes the same way. This next fight here, Artemis, she actually holds one of your crew members in her, which you don't find out until later. A couple of your crew members were captured during the showdown with the Demon King, and now you have to fight them as bosses in order to free them. So we're going to be using Punchline here to knock her down. Boom, very nice. And the way that you can actually tell if this fight is going to go well is if Artemis does not turn over 90 degrees at the start of the fight. Because for whatever reason, her get-up animation is determined by how many degrees she is turning when you hit her. Very nice fight, dude. Very good.
Yeah, we got it.
Very
so,
good.
unfortunately, I didn't get the no damage on mission 2, but that kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, this is still a pretty good orb route, so
we'll buy... Here is V. We'll actually buy 2 purple orbs. Unlike his Nero in mission 2, where we could buy some upgrades, we can't actually buy any here, or some skills at least. Because the first mission that a character is introduced, you can't actually buy skills. But here we just grab 2 purple orbs as V because it makes these bosses, or these encounters, a little bit quicker.
yeah, so the way that V works is he's a summoner character. So he's got 3 summons that he uses. One of them is a cat. The other is a bird called Griffin. The cat is called Shadow. And then he has a golem called Nightmare. Again, a reference to DMC1. Nightmare looks a little bit different, though, than he did in DMC1. The thing about V that is unique to him is that his demons do all the attacking for him, pretty much. However, they can't kill other demons. So V has to finish everybody off with that cane that he has. And you'll see all the enemies go into sort of like a pale pinkish purple whenever that happens. There's also a skip here called Fence Skip, where you can actually swing V's toes through the fence here into the cutscene trigger, and that just sends you right out of the fight. So you just don't have to do it. It's definitely a funny looking skip.
Yeah. Fortunately, that's the easiest V-skip we'll do. The others kind of ramp up in difficulty, as we'll see later. By the way, this character is full of skips. There's one, and I think actually, yeah, there's skips in every single mission, since there's 2 skewer clips you can do in mission 14. But we'll talk about those later.
Yeah. If we were able to buy Skewer here, which is the move that we're going to be using to clip out of bounds with this character on the next level, we would be able to skip every encounter in this level as well. Because on New Game Plus, they actually do that since you have all of your upgrades already. V also has the ability, so he has a thing called Devil Trigger, and that's the purple bar that you see underneath the green health bar. So the purple bar is another meter, and you can use this meter to either call Nightmare, which we don't do a whole lot in Human because Nightmare is kind of slow, but he does like big bursts of damage in increments. And on Human, burst damage that's really quick is very strong, as opposed to sustained beefy damage like Nightmare. So what we're gonna do is we're going to upgrade our pets, or bestow upon them some Devil Trigger, which is why when you'll see them glowing purple, and Scruffington will expend a bar of that meter. This allows Griffin to shoot lightning pillars without having to charge them, and it makes him and Shadow stronger as well. So this is like the big form of Devil Trigger spending that we're going to be doing throughout the run. We'll use Nightmare in a couple of instances, but generally speaking, that is like the big use of meter usage for V. Like Scruffington was saying as well, this character is really full of skips. Like, this is the only full level that you really do with him anymore in the route.
Yeah.
Mostly because we just can't buy the thing that lets us go out of bounds. Crazy how that works. The next fight here, you're not gonna do on Nidhogg, right?
Nope. This is one threat where me and Cosmic actually do different stuff.
Yeah, so auto mode Nidhogg, you use the auto mode in this game to speed up the fight a little bit. However, that actually incurs a orb penalty. So actually, Scruffington not using auto mode here is going to be beneficial to his orb route, especially because in this marathon setting he didn't get the no damage bonus. So whereas maybe I would be struggling a little bit more if I didn't get that no damage in a marathon, Scruff is going to have a little bit of padding going his way, so that's pretty cool. Nidhogg here operates sort of like a three-headed beast like Cerberus that you saw in DMC3, that you would see in DMC3. Basically, the tentacles act as his weak points, and once you down all 3 of the weak points, or the heads, he will collapse, and then you will be able to get some free hits on him.
So here we'll actually summon Nightmare, because his big laser beams are going to actually help us take down the tentacles. Ideally, if he doesn't listen. Okay, he got one.
Yeah,
all right,
he's a good boy.
That's good. Sometimes he can be a bad boy.
Sometimes he just doesn't want... Like there, he just swung at air. And it's like, why did I call you out, dude?
It's a waste of meter.
And then there's the finisher animation there. Now, V does have a move, by the way, called Royal Fork that allows you to skip a lot of these finisher animations, but the economy investment for it is really, really crazy high, which is something that's kind of cool about this run, is that you have 3 different characters that you have to manage an economy for. And the way that we distributed a lot of the skills was based on, return on investment, essentially. So V, comparatively, actually, has, I think, the least amount of orbs dumped into him. Because we only buy 2 things for him, which is Quick Play, or as I like to call it, the Kitty Scooter, and Skewer. And those are the only upgrades that we're going to buy for V the entire run. So I'm going to let you concentrate before I explain this trick. This is called Skewer Skip. Or Sewer Skewer. It's like the only cool skip name.
Yeah, it's the only original name we have for a skip.
Yep. Are you... Okay. I thought it was going to be nice to you. Spawn you. Out of bounds still.
Okay, we got through. Yeah, this skip can be kind of finicky. Ideally, so you clip through that wall and you get over to here. You glide over that pipe, and then you want to run to about here. And then I'm going to try to gambit towards a barrel that spawns. And if the game's nice, it'll put me back in bounds. Perfect. Yeah, that was the good version of the skip. So what that just did there is it skipped every single encounter in the mission, something that can happen is if it brings you inbounds, but enemies spawn as you're teleporting to that barrel, you'll have to fight the encounter before the section. But we got the good version, so wow, I'm really happy with that. I didn't think that happened.
That's good stuff. So the way that skip actually works, this is going to actually intrude on the boss explanation, but here we go. So the way that skip works is that characters can actually stand on that skewer. So when you come into contact with skewer while it's coming out of Shadow's face, the game will try to put you on the skewer, but if you air taunt during that time, you will be in frames where you cannot move upward in order to, or you can't stand on it. However, you're still active and you're colliding with the skewer, so the game pushes you along the skewer and will force you out of bounds in that way. You can do this to any wall in the game as well. And at higher FPS like this, so Scruffington and I use capture cards that can capture up to 120 FPS, so we can use the high frame rate mode for this game, which makes the skewer clips easier as well. So on 60 FPS, you can still do them. They just require different setups. And on 120 FPS, you can be pushed along that spike really well. This boss is almost dead, by the way, and I did not get to explain it at all. This is the Elder Garyon Knight. It can slow down time.
Yeah, honestly, guys, this is kind of how DMC5 speedrunning can work, especially in marathon settings. There's almost like an information overload. So you can be in the middle of explaining a skip, and by the time you're done, a boss will be dead. So
yep, exactly. So the horse is on ice, but we're gonna see that knight later. By the way, we'll see him a little bit later. This boss right here, Gilgamesh. I think you really like this boss, right, Scruff?
Oh yeah, he's my favorite.
You want to talk about him, or should I?
You can talk about it.
I don't know, man. You just love him anyway. I got you. So Gilgamesh is essentially Devil May Cry meets Shadow of the Colossus. Gilgamesh is this huge hulking mass bug thing. I don't know what kind of creature it's supposed to resemble, but it's big, and you can climb on it and fight its weak point and stuff. So Scruff here is also setting up some magazines that we'll use later. So for this first magazine here of Devil Breakers, we've got 4 overtures. So we want to land a triple overture bomb onto this boss's weak point. So first of all, we're going to stand underneath Gilgamesh. That's unfortunate, by the way.
That happened to me in practice, too. See, this is why I don't like Gilgamesh. I always get that.
So we're going to plant 3 overture bombs on the boss's weak point. And then we're going to blow it up. That's unfortunate as well.
Yeah, classic Gilgamesh.
Absolutely classic.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
dude.
Boy. Dude, this is such bad RNG. Oh my gosh.
The reason why I don't like it is because of things like this. It can be a little bit luck based, and I tend to not get good luck when I play this.
So the point of this boss, by the way, is that you do have to climb on top of it and just strike at the weak point there. We just have to use some overture attacks. That attack is called Battery, by the way. It's just the lightning hand that comes out, and it does a huge burst of damage. We have to do some exceeded Red Queen attacks or the sword attacks in between, because the hand actually has to recharge its damage as well.
Okay, we got through it.
Hey,
somehow.
very nice. Yeah, absolutely. We got this, though. You got this, bro. So moving into mission 7. This is actually one of 2 missions in the game where you can decide which character you're going to use. For a long time in this run, Nero was the go-to for this mission. However, once the skewer clips got found with V took over here, because V can skip every fight in this mission as well, except for the boss fight. So we're going to have to clip out of bounds and go all the way to the end of the level. This skip is really punishing. By the way, it's hard. And yeah. So there's really nothing else I can say. It's definitely killed plenty of my runs. So we just gotta clip out of bounds over here against this wall. The lighting here, by the way, is just absolutely dreadful.
Oh yeah, it can be very hard to see what's going on.
Yep. So very nice clip out there, by the way. I am a couple seconds behind, but we're Gucci. And now we're just going to walk around the edge of the map. I really have to hand it to the devs of Devil May Cry 5 because they provided us a plethora of options with all the stuff that they mapped out of bounds. All the collision that's still here. Even though there's not audio all the time. But... oh, good. You actually saved your location as well. That's good. So the reason that the skip can be pretty punishing, by the way, is that you do have to kind of wait for the game to... like, especially in a marathon setting like this, you have to wait for the game to kind of save your location so that you can, if you void out, you will get spawned still out of bounds. Because if Scruff hadn't, well, I'm trying to find the words here. If Scruff hadn't saved his location, if he voided out, he would have gotten spawned back in bounds and had to do a whole fight. So that would have really sucked.
Yeah, I'm going to save my location here again, just in case I mess up this section here of the skip.
Yeah, this part is difficult.
Here, essentially, I'm just going to jump my way up the escalator, and then as soon as I see the portrait near the top, I'm going to hold left, and then hold right as I'm jumping, and then glide up. And for me, that's the consistent strat. I used to get walled on the skip a lot, and then I just labbed it out for a couple hours, and I figured out that that's a consistent way to get it down.
That's how you got to do it. So we're going to hit the checkpoint there from out of bounds, and then use the checkpoint to reset ourselves and put us back in bounds. So we're not going to get the no continue bonus here, but ideally we do still want the no damage bonus from this boss. All the boss fights in this game are either like a pretty big monster or sort of a beefed up version of a regular enemy. So this is the Proto-Angelos and the Scudo-Angelos. The Proto-Angelo is the one with the big claymore there. It's based on Nello Angelo from DMC1. And the Scudo-Angelos are the ones with the swords. So you really just want to, with V anyway, there's a certain strat that Scruffington's going to try for here, where he would want to parry the Angelo formations. Unfortunately, Nightmare is taking this Scudo, or this Proto, to Duff City right now. So this is still pretty fast, all things considered. There is a way to like one-shot the Proto with an Angelo exploit, but not relevant right now, so not going to bother because we're moving on in a second here. Nero is also fighting alongside you, and Nero put in some work too. Dang, that was fast.
Yeah, actually a good Nero.
And no damage bonus as well.
Sometimes he doesn't really want to help you that much.
Sometimes, yeah, especially on Legendary Dark Knight, dude. He just like dies, and then it's like, oh, well then. So the next mission here, this is actually the run back with the Demon King Urizen. And so Nero's like, all right, dude, okay, I've got my metal arms. I've got some upgrades now. I'm ready to take you down. So we've grabbed a couple more Devil Breakers to help us with these fights. And this level actually is like where the game starts to get really red as well, I've noticed. Playing the overture
with all
there.
The blood elevators.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the new Devil Breaker that we actually have in the magazine now is called Helter Skelter. It's a drill. And we're going to use that to break Urizen's crystal. The crystal that was like, attacking us during the prologue. We're going to use that to actually damage it and do a nice little mechanic there that I'll explain in a bit. We also can... oh, that's a nice Gerbera drop there. Nice.
Isn't that always a Gerbera?
Oh, no, I'm thinking of the Gerbera GPO one that's up here. Sometimes it's a Mega Buster, and sometimes it just doesn't appear, like right here.
Oh, cool.
Not cool. Sometimes it doesn't appear, and I'd like it. So...
well, I never deviate from my route, so if I came across it, I'd break it.
That's fair. That's fair. I think it's mostly really good on Devil Hunter. On Devil Hunter, it's really good. This mission is actually one of two in the game that Nero has where You can kind of choose your own adventure in terms of where you want to go. So this is another like sort of dev intended skip where you can just kind of clear right over this this gap here, and you don't even see any enemies appear. You could even do this casually really easily. That's one of the reasons that we picked Gerbera, is because not only does it have that really strong break gauge, but it also has the air dash that just makes that skip, you know, brain dead easy to do. And then this enemy, go ahead.
Here we're going to be using the Gerbera that we picked up earlier, and we're going to use a break gauge. It's going to send all these bullets ricocheting across the room. It's a really cool strat. I wish we got to use it more often on human, but it's cool. All those bullets just ricochet and they hit all 3 of the enemies as they spawn. And if you get pretty lucky, sometimes the enemies will group up, and the bullets can actually just take them all out without you even having to attack them. But it's pretty rare for that to happen.
Nice when it does, though.
Ooh,
this is another. Oh, cool. This was another skip that was, you know, sort of just in the level by design. You can just kind of, man, that is like, that blue orb fragment is like the marathon blue orb fragment, dude. I don't think I've ever managed to miss it in a marathon, and now you're just continuing the tradition. I love it.
You gotta get it for man.
So this mission this fight right here, we're gonna grab the, yeah, you do grab the punchline. Okay, I thought there was something you didn't. I was like, oh. So the punchline here actually will act as a projectile that will break the projectile shields. Somehow that works against the goats here. And you can actually throw it at them in order to, you know, grab their projectiles grab their projectile shields from afar and then snatch them to you. Or if they just decide to come right at, like, screaming at you like this, like they did to Scruff, you can just kind of wail on them for free. I wish they flew at me like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah, sometimes I'd like to use punchline differently in that fight. I guess it just depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I just open up with it, and it acts as a really nice damage supplement, because you can use it on one enemy while you're targeting another, and it'll do damage on its own. So it just speeds things up a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Finally made it. So another payphone here. Unfortunately, again, Nero is broke, as is the case with many people that work for Devil May Cry. So we're just going to skip over the payphone. We're not going to ask the demons for any spare change. And we're going to go on into the Demon King Urizen fight. This is another sort of, you can beat this, but the game expects you to fail type scenario. You do have to beat one phase, though. And that's the crystal phase. So he's going to use 2 of these Gerberas in order to break the crystal. And we're going to save the Helter Skelter for the second phase.
Yeah, the reason we save the Helter Skelter for this phase here is because it'll help us do damage on the crystal. And we want to die here, but we want to die as quickly as possible. And the amount of damage that Urizen does to us is dependent on the amount of damage we do to him. So we damage the crystal as much as we can so that we die quicker.
Sir. Also, something unique to Special Edition here is that those red lasers that Scruffington shot out from a downloadable content breaker called the Gerbera GP01 is included in Special Edition. We do not allow those for regular DMC5 because, you know, DLC. But in Special Edition, that version comes with every downloadable breaker, all the DLC, etc. So we do allow it in this game, and that allows us to have that extra Gerbera there for that mission, as well as use another Gerbera in that fight. So the strategy's changed a little bit for that mission coming into Special Edition, which was pretty cool. I think it's like one of the few things that changed, but it's a welcome addition. This mission right here, this is probably the scariest of the V-skips. So we have to do this first fight here, and then after this first fight is done, Scruff is going to clip out of bounds and then try to gambit towards the end fight arena void out and then teleport back and down, similar like what we did in mission 5. This is a pretty hard skip, so once you start going for it, dude, I am just going to stop talking and let you just focus, because this can cost some time.
That might be good. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, I got out. I think. Maybe. Oh, am I stuck here? I can't tell if this is a spot that I'm stuck on.
I think that's stuck, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this skip can be very finicky. It was actually recently discovered by Flamba Mamba, a member of the community. And I think he discovered it within the last, like, month or two. But it can be pretty punishing because if you fail it, you actually have to go back to the start of the mission. You can't just reset the checkpoint to after the first battle. So I'm going to give it another shot, and if we can't get it here, I think we'll just play through it using some of the older skips.
Yeah, that's totally acceptable, because like I said, this is the hardest skip. It saves a lot of time, but having to like redo the like once you get over to the other side, if you don't get to activate the cutscene, then you do, and you just get stuck like that, then it's bad news bears.
Yeah, it's actually become so important to the run too, because I think it saves about like 3 minutes compared to the old skips that we used.
Yeah, it saves a ton of time, and it cuts out like all of the RNG on this mission as well, which was this mission. There were definitely some heavy variances on some attempts for this mission, so being able to get rid of all that for this mission was just an absolute godsend.
All right, let's see. Okay. Yeah, so ideally what happens there is V will gambit across into that area, which is where the final fight against the Nobodies takes place. So eventually, ideally what would happen is V would gambit back inbounds, and then you'd be able to run across the map to the point where I think there's a certain tile or a certain section where the fight actually triggers. So it skips the entire mission.
So we're gonna be just going through the mission like normal. There are a couple other cool skips. I should also note that Scruffington is not hitting checkpoint to do this. He's hitting retry mission, which is pretty important, because if you hit retry mission, it will retain your orb bonus for no continue. However, if he hit checkpoint, it would bring him back to the beginning of the mission faster, but he would lose that no continue bonus. So even though he sacrifices a little bit of time, he's still going to be able to maintain the no continue bonus. So his orb economy is still going to be pretty fine. And honestly, like, this was a big thing when this skip was found, was like, by doing that skip, we lose about 10k orbs over the course of this mission. So it makes no damages like even more crucial to like optimal routes. So this isn't the worst thing in the world to happen, honestly, because we missed a couple of no damages early, but now we might be able to make up for it by just playing through mission 9 normally. And we'd still have like all of our stuff when we get to Dante. So bright side, silver lining type deal. This skip right here is called Tree Skip, and Scruffington's just going to run against this orb tree here and then skip over the fight at the very bottom.
Yeah, so I did some very specific movement there. I used the kitty scooter quick play to get some more momentum, and then I did 2 canes and a gambit, and then I glided. And all that avoids a trigger for a battle that happens just below. Now, normally that wouldn't be too big of a problem if you were doing this on, if you were playing as Virgil here, because Virgil can just mop that fight up pretty quickly. But V takes quite a while for some of these fights, so it's kind of a big deal if you miss it.
Yeah. And the reason that we call it Tree Skip is because there's a tree down in that fight, and we use that as well. Yeah, I know, it's great.
And also because we're on a yeah. Creativity.
If anybody wants to submit an application for official skip namer for the DMC community, just hit us up. We're looking for some artists out here.
Yeah, we got another skip here. I'm gonna try to gambit. Yeah, okay, that was perfect. So essentially, what happens with these fights is you might have noticed throughout the run that you get into a zone or an area, and then a fight will start, and there will be these red gates that spawn on opposite sides. Um, but you can avoid. Or here's the one part in the run where you can actually use V's gambit to actually get to the other side before the gate closes in. I don't know if that's actually possible anywhere else. I'm pretty sure it's just here.
As far as I know, it's because they actually left a invisible wall out of that map, like for some reason. Like for instance, like you would think that this would be possible on mission 4 because there's a similar situation that happens on mission 4, but they included invisible walls in those sections. So we're able to do it here just because there is no invisible wall. The goat followed him in here, which is not like the best thing in the world, but that actually does prevent him from soft locking, I believe. So that's pretty cool. Ideally, you wouldn't have to kill it, but it does deactivate the other fight instead of the fight like activating on its own or deactivating on its own. The cool thing about this game, by the way, is that a lot of these skips work because the game is very lenient with its logic in terms of sequence breaking. So you can just kind of go to any point of a level and the game just doesn't care. It just proceeds with everything as per normal. You don't really need to hit like a ton of triggers in order to proceed with a level. So we skip to the end of a lot of these V fights and there's cutscenes that we haven't seen and, you know, all this other stuff in the game's like, yep, that's fine. Just keep on trucking. Pretty good actually. It's very, very good and very conducive to what we do, that the game logic works like this.
Yeah, so coming up here is the last fight with the nobodies. This is where, if we had gotten that skip I attempted earlier, this is where it would have put us. So you can see how it saves like so much time if you get it first try. But yeah, so here we're just going to use our pets and Nightmare to mop up the nobodies.
Yeah, the nobodies are a very tanky enemy, originally again from DMC1. And they have like a few different modes and a few different attacks where they can like grab you and they can actually summon other nobodies to create more enemies in this fight, which we just don't let happen because we're speedy boys. They are definitely like one of the tankiest enemies in the game, so that's why this fight takes a while with V, and it's actually one of the reasons that we call him Nightmare during this fight. They also have some pretty cool finisher animations attached to them. And
So
now go for it.
To mission 10, which is the Dante section of the run. And I know this is Cosmic's favorite part. This is also one of my favorites, but I just wish you could play through these missions as Nero, man. That was when Special Edition came out, I was kind of bummed out because I really wanted there to be a divergence mode where you could play as all 3 characters throughout the campaign.
Yeah, that would have been really good.
Yeah, here we got Dante.
So Dante is the walking arsenal. You can change his fighting style at will. You can change his weapons at will. You start off with 4 styles: Trickster, which is all about mobility, Gunslinger, and Swordmaster, which are about mastery of those different types of weapons. It unlocks different moves for whatever you have equipped, and Royal Guard, which is a defensive stance. We use all these a little bit throughout the run. We use a lot of Trickster and Swordmaster in this run. Those are the big ones. Dante starts out with gauntlets, which are those flaming, like they're almost Hulk hands, I guess, but they're called Balrog. And he also has his trusty broadsword Rebellion, as well as his pistols and shotgun. Pistols are called Ebony and Ivory, and the shotgun is called Shotgun. So Scruff here is actually using a mechanic called Ignition, where he powers up the gauntlets and they do extra damage and they have extra effects on them. Like the ground pound there will actually get some explosions around it. You can activate Ignition one of 2 ways. If you're in the fists mode, you have to land 10 hits in order to activate Ignition. And if you're in the kick mode, you can just hold down the melee button and you're good to go. Dante is definitely the the character that we invest the most into, but it's because he has the most versatility. He has the most tools at his disposal, so we need to buy a lot of them. And starting off with that, we're going to buy Real Impact, which is you have to unlock it through Swordmaster level 4. It is this big Shoryuken style uppercut from the gauntlets. We're also going to buy Trickster level 2 and 3, which gives us Air Trick, which is his teleport. We're going to unlock Ignition level 2, which increases the duration of Ignition, as well as the move Stinger, which is, oh, nice, and you got the purple orb too. Nice stuff.
Yeah, did some on-the-fly menu improvising.
And then Stinger, which is also a dash from with the sword. So we're going to use the Royal Guard there. Definitely use the Royal Guard there, and then we're going to use the... So these are called the Chaos, by the way. They're these spinny boys. They have spikes on their back. You can break the spikes in order to render them vulnerable. So what Scruff wants to do is use Real Impact, as well as Royal Guard here to try and stun him. And then once he gets Ignition up, he's going to use Real Impact and boom, send him to Duff City. They're unfortunately being rather uncooperative right now. There's the guard right there. I knew you had it in you, bud. Nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it at least once.
You had to let him play for a while, man. You can't send him to the Shadow Realm just yet. And then we're going to fight the Death Scissors again. We're going to use the same... I should note that every character abuses the one-hit kill on these enemies. Like, these enemies get tossed around during this run.
Yeah, so we just topped it, and then used the Swordmaster with Rebellion. And then
that was
shot.
good.
That's how we try to take him out.
Absolutely. Also, this right here, the dashing that he's doing, you have, for whatever reason, unlimited Trickster dashes in this game. I think at some point in development, they were going to keep it the same way as DMC4, where you had only a certain amount of dashes unless you were in Devil Trigger, and then you could do unlimited dashes. But in the final retail version of the game, you are just able to just dash around infinitely. So Dante is actually the only character that we don't buy speed with, or his quick play equivalent or whatever, because these dashes are just faster than running.
Yeah, also what I just did there was another skip. So normally what would happen here is we would come left and run into a couple of those spinny enemies, I think. I think they spawn here. But we duck into that room on the right to trigger that encounter, and then we come back out into this area. And I think it has something to do with the way that like encounter priority or like enemy priority works. But essentially, that allows us to just avoid having to do the fight that would normally happen here, or in that hallway.
And then he's going to be using the shotgun here, because the shotgun will bring these enemies closer to the ground. So instead of needing to teleport up to them, all the time, and bring them down with the gauntlets, you can just bring him closer to the ground with the shotgun, and then he can just jump up and duff him that way. Then this is going to be the Impusa Queen. This is another enemy that's pretty tanky. She's going to take like at least 2 real impacts to just take down properly, or dizzy. Boom, nice and dead.
Yeah, unfortunately my positioning wasn't too good on the first one, but we made it up for it, kind of.
Out here. So this actually, I should note, by the way, story-wise, this mission actually happens before the prologue. This is why Dante's kind of like clean-cut and everything. This is the replay on everybody getting washed by Urizen. Why they decided to start with the prologue instead of this mission, I don't know, but I guess it is what it is. Dante gets to fight these Angelos as well here too, that we fought on mission 7. And the big thing here is to just set up these sort of double kill real impacts like Scruff just did. Really, really nice real impact as well. Really nice uppercut. Ooh, unfortunate. This is the thing about like some of the parries in this game, is that they're pretty lenient. So you'll try and use a real impact in Devil Trigger. I forgot to explain Dante's Devil Trigger. So Dante's Devil Trigger is a powered up state that he has that increases his attack power, his attack speed, and changes the properties on some moves. It's because of his demon lineage that he has that.
So here I'm gonna charge up Ignition. I don't know if you want to explain how that, or why I'm doing that, or how that even works.
Yep, got that down already. That was the one thing I didn't forget. And so he's gonna get Ignition here, and then he's going to go ahead and take out Urizen's crystal here. We do enough damage to Urizen on human here that we don't. This is another like one where we could fail, but we don't actually need to on human. It is faster to just go ahead and beat him with 4 real impacts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually didn't know that until very recently.
I did not know that either until very recently. I figured it was just easier to just die, or just faster to die, but I was wrong.
I'm glad we learned that though, because I think that saves like a decent amount of time anyways.
Yeah, I think it saves around like 20-25 seconds or something.
It also just feels good to actually like finish a mission by you know, taking down an enemy instead of just dying.
Yeah, it's one less force fail in the run, so that's always good.
So
this mission here, go ahead.
So here we are on mission 11. This is like one of my favorites, just because there's a lot of really varied enemies, and there's also a very cool boss coming up at the end of it.
I think this is definitely my favorite like mission, not only in the game but also in the run.
Yeah, you really get to see a lot of Dante's arsenal here.
Yeah, so we got the lineup of the Hell Canis here. Scruff's going to use Stinger there in Devil Trigger specifically in order to take them out, and then he's going to power up the gauntlets here and then just do a good old uppercut on that Riot, which is a the lizard boy. Take these dudes out if they decide to play nice.
Yeah, ideally what could happen there is you can actually kill both of them the moment they come on screen, but I think it's very hard to pull off. I haven't been able to get it consistently in my runs either.
Yeah, it's really... I'd probably have to lab it more. It's like I've gotten it enough that I figure that we can get it consistent, but it's very finicky.
I think it also depends on how quickly you kill the first enemy there, right? Because you need to kill it quickly enough to actually head over to the left.
Yeah, and I think it also has something to do with like the way that the Canis spawn, because enemy spawns in this game, some of them, the animations are totally random as to how long they take. So sometimes a lot of them will just like they'll all just spawn in at once, and then other times like they'll just take forever, and that will just throw off all of your wave management. That was the Hell Judeca, but it's dead now, so that was like perfect RNG too. He was just able to Stinger slide through there.
Yeah, so we're going to real impact these Angelos, and then we're going to encounter another Fire Bat. We're going to use the same strat that we did before.
And those Fire Bats kind of act like a bomb, where they sort of, I guess, take in any attacks and build it up into their own little explosion. Stinger, I guess because it's a blade, or Sparta that you have now, which is Dante's father's sword, as opposed to his rebellion, because his rebellion got broken by Urizen. So now you're wielding your father's sword. The Stinger there will actually sort of pop the enemy's bombs. That was really nice. That was a really nice setup. So what Scruff did there was he used the exploding bat to blow up the other bat. So he saved a little bit of time there.
Yeah, I wish I could say I planned that, but I didn't.
You planned it, dude. You did that in practice. I saw you. I was there.
I kind of had an idea what I was doing. Oh, I guess. Anyways, here's Captain Angelo. Fights. So we're going to prep Ignition before this fight, and then I'm going to parry with Royal Guard. Going to use some real impacts here. Nice. I got the one cycle. That was really good.
Hey, very good.
Yeah, so for that one, you use Royal Guard, you use real impacts, and then you use a couple of Stingers, and you can kill it before it even tries teleporting.
That's
so
it's
strat. Honestly one of my favorite bosses in the game.
Oh yeah. And then we get the motorcycle, the bike weapon. Did you want to talk about that, or?
Yeah, sure. So it's really cool. Essentially, what we do here is we use it to mop up a lot of enemies actually throughout the rest of the run. But here, what I do is I use triangle, circle, circle attacks while in Swordmaster, because I think that does the most damage. But essentially, what we do is we let it rev up a little bit for a couple of hits for as long as we can, and then we do another attack.
Yeah, so this weapon actually operates on a gear system, where if you let it sort of like rock out or rev up, as Scruff was saying, I guess it changes gears like a motorcycle. By the way, you need to play this game, everybody, because one character has a sword with a motorcycle engine, and then the other character has a motorcycle that he uses like a sword, which is neat. So this weapon operates on a gear system where if you just let moves rock, it will rev up the bike, and then it will make it do more hits, resulting in more damage. And when it goes into a gear called Overtop, where the wheels are orange, the wheels will be spinning really fast, and then it'll do like a ton of damage very quickly. That was also kind of a skip. This is another level with some pretty big dev-intended skips, where you can just kind of go to these gargoyles here and just skip every single encounter except for the boss and this one right here in particular. We unsurprisingly call it Gargoyle Skip.
Yeah. By the way, your explanation of Cavalier is way better than mine.
I asked, you know, I mean...
Well,
cool.
You kind of know what you're doing with this game, you know?
I mean, so do you. That's why you're the one playing it right now.
So we're going to do another Gargoyle Skip here. That's why it's really important to have a double trigger at this point. Because I think you can actually do the skip with Cavalier. It's just a lot more finicky. So it's going to speed it up a little bit here.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to try to avoid, so we avoided the gold orb there. That actually does waste a little bit of time. But it can be hard to avoid that as you're moving through this section.
I like the line here, by the way, that Dante says. It's been a while since I used my brain this much. It's like, yeah, Dante, I feel you. And so this boss right here coming up is a Urizen fight. We fight this boss a lot throughout the course of the game, by the way. Like, a lot. But this time, we get to win. So we're going to get the ultimate anime power-up called Sin Devil Trigger, which is Dante's ultimate Devil Trigger form. And we're going to get the Devil Sword Dante. So he had a sword named after his father. Now he's got a sword named after him. And Scruff's going to just take this clown out with these nice big old sword cleave attacks. Oh, wow. That was unfortunate. So what can happen here sometimes is Dante will be like a hair higher than he needs to be when he lands, and then Urizen will immediately bring his crystal back up. It's something that happens kind of rarely, but there's really nothing that we can do to control it, unfortunately. Sometimes it just happens. However, he's still just going to be taken out really quick. Yeah,
it is a surprisingly big time loss. I think somewhere around like 20 seconds, maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
But
I don't know if you had like the Faustad incentive or anything.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, okay. That's fine. So
here, you're going to be playing as Nero again. This mission is kind of a filler mission, I guess. There's no bosses. There's nothing really fancy. We're just going to be killing a couple of gates, and which spawn enemies, and then I guess that's pretty much it for this mission.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any donations or anything that have come in, I think now's a pretty good time. So that's right. This is the... We have any donations?
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
I just wanted to mention we are still raising money for Save the Children. We're currently on our last 5 runs for the whole marathon. We've already met all of our goals for the marathon, so that's amazing. But if you do have a couple bucks to throw towards the charity, Save the Children is fantastic. They do a lot of work around the world in over 120 countries, so I'm sure that they would appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I kind of fell down that hole while I was doing it. I've never seen that before. So I guess that's our marathon quota of things that have never happened.
That's never happened before.
It's always at least one thing. So yeah, so for these gates, what I'm doing here ideally is I use 2 attacks in the air, and then I'll use my Buster Arm. And that takes the gates down very quickly. It is a little risky because, as you can see, there's a lot of enemies here that are trying to hit me from off-screen. And but by keeping my camera oriented in a way that they're not on-screen, it can kind of mitigate their ability to hit me. So, like, sometimes it's unavoidable, like here, you know, I kind of need to point the camera at this part.
Dude, they are coming after you. They're super bloodthirsty. So all the characters actually meet up at this point. You can, like Scruff mentioned, we're choosing Nero for here because he's faster. But at this point in the story, all the characters have met up. And they're like, all right, now we're going to go for the final showdown with Urizen. So now these next few missions, you're going to play as each of the characters sort of back to back to back. So this is actually the last mission that we're going to do with V. Did you want to take it away on this one?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to ride our kitty scooter down, and then there's going to be some staggered and slow animations while V has some headaches. And then after that, we'll be heading into a bit of a boss rush, which is like kind of a classic hallmark of DMC. But we'll be fighting up against Artemis, Goliath, and Cavalier Angelo, or at least, I guess, alternate versions of them. They have much less health, but we only have limited resources because here, as you can see, V doesn't have his pets right now, so he has to get them. He can get one before every boss. So for this one, we're going to grab Shadow, and we're going to use it to take down Artemis.
The order that we actually fight these enemies into, the devs actually said that this is like the order that they meant the bosses to be fought in. They meant for you to fight Artemis first, and then Goliath, and then Cavalier, which was interesting to find out. Like, oh, the way that they intended was what they ended up being the fastest. It was cool.
Oh, we are not getting good Shadow luck today. So
no, she's actually flying around a ton too.
Yeah, ideally what happens here is Artemis stays put, and we can hit her with 3 different skewers. Because as you can see, like hitting one there chunks her health bar down a lot. So if you get particularly good luck, it'll take 3 skewers down, or to take her down. But we got through it, so it's fine.
Not a big deal. I mean, the good thing here is that we have the kitty scooter now, dude.
That's one down.
Yeah, this is another section that highlights just how good Shadow is throughout the course of the run for the V sections, because this skewer just does so much damage in like every context. Like, it's great for chunking down bosses. It's great for taking down even like smaller enemies, and it's even useful for skips. Basically the most important upgrade we get in the whole speedrun. Or at least one of them.
Oh, for sure. It actually kind of like... I don't know if you, like... Was it... Because I think you started running, like, when the V-skips were found, right?
I started May of last year. So, yeah, I think that was around the time when the V-skips started becoming a thing.
Yeah, because like in earlier versions of the run before like the V-skips were found, like we didn't use skewer at all. And now looking back, I'm just like, wow, I was really dumb because I didn't buy this thing at all. So we had all this extra money sitting around, just not using it on this like really great move. You know, somebody finds some new tech, and then it's like you just feel really silly and totally underestimating like what a character's capable of with just one move pickup.
Yeah, so here we're going to take down Cavalier Angelo for the second time, and that's the last enemy of the mission. So now we'll just have a few more platforming parts to go through. We're going to ride our kitty scooter down some more ramps. Here I'm actually going to go for these. There's 2 more skewer skips where you'll get through some vines. It doesn't really save much time, but might as well go for them. So why not? I think they actually do save. Like the first one saves a couple seconds, but the second one saves maybe about like 5 to 10. So they are pretty worth it if you get them like first try.
Oh yeah. They're just, I don't know, it's deceiving to me. Like, they seem easy, but then I can swear like I've messed them up just a ton of times. Maybe I'm just like psyching myself out about it.
Yeah, I'll give this a couple more tries. Yeah, one more. Alright, yeah, we'll just do it normally. So, yeah. I've seen, I think I've seen a runner named Yamanaro. He tends to go for these skips, like, every single run he does. And I think it takes a lot of courage, I guess, to go for them. Like, especially if you're on a good pace, because it's a skip that it doesn't save that much time, and failing it can cost you a lot of time. But you know, some runners just opt to maximize their time saves. You know.
Yeah, he just goes for everything. Mad respect.
I tried. I tried.
I mean, that's the important part, man, is that you tried. You went for it.
Yeah, we're still on a pretty good pace for this run, so I felt like going for it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So now, coming up into another Nero mission. This one's really cool. There's a lot of platforming stuff. There's a lot of cool Buster Arm strategies that we use. And then there's also a really interesting boss fight against Malphus. So I don't know if you want to explain the spike room stuff here.
Oh, you mean my favorite room in the game. The best room that's definitely not killed any of our PBs, dude. Never, ever, ever. So the spike room, there's spikes coming out of parts of the wall. And one of the rooms is walled off with spikes. So like we have to kind of take this upper pathway here in order to get through. And then you have to just jump over these pits of spikes. That was really good movement, by the way. Like that made me seem like a huge complainer because you just went through that so smoothly. But if you get hit by one of those spikes while you're going through, it'll just knock you down into the bottom area, and then it's just not a good time. You have to then go up all the way around and...
Yeah, because the problem with failing that skip is it puts you down into an area where there's a bunch of enemies, and you need to be able to not target onto enemies in order to stinger across. So if you fall down, your 2 choices are to either kill the enemies, which takes a long time, or to just go through the spike, to just try to get through the spike walls normally, which is also really slow. So, yeah, failing it is not recommended. But we got through it.
These Angelos, by the way, just the absolute best, like, defense team a castle could ask for, or a tree in this case could ask for. It definitely didn't just stand there while Nero walked through. And then the behemoth here, we're going to break its armor. And then Scruff's just going to use the Buster Arm here. The Buster Arm, by the way, is a Devil Breaker that emulates Nero's arm from DMC4. So it gives him the ability to do basically optional quick time events where you can grab people and then do these awesome wrestling moves on them. Hideaki Itsuno loves his wrestling references.
Yeah, Buster Arm's my favorite Devil Breaker. It's just so cool.
It's so good, dude.
And this is why it's really important to like this. That's one of my favorite aspects of the speedrun is the way that you route Devil Breakers into these missions and the way that they actually get used in the individual encounters. It creates so much depth to the speedrun, and it's one of the reasons that I just love playing this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And of note too, I didn't actually mention this. I forgot to. If you get hit while using a Devil Breaker, then it will cause the Devil Breaker to break. Because these things are fragile and they're not really made to last. That's why when you use the break gauge, they also break. So Scruff has not been getting any of his breaker attacks interrupted this whole run, so we haven't seen that happen. So that's pretty awesome.
And you didn't curse me there, so hey, if we got through it, nice.
I mean, I can just make a joke about my hairline again, and then the run's blessed, dude.
No,
So
I think your hairline is abuse.
I was gonna say, well, you just turned that Buster Arm into something resembling my hairline now. So we're gonna get into the Malthus fight, and so Scruff's gonna actually do a safety strat here, where he's going to let Malthus hit him once, which will activate a cutscene here. The cutscene itself is not important, just the existence of it is. So if you get hit by Malthus, that cutscene will always play, and if you have those overture bombs on her, when the cutscene plays, they will all disappear. So it makes the fight pretty needlessly risky. This is why we go for it like in PB attempts, but really good safety strat here for a marathon. Just let the cutscene play, plant the overture bombs on her, and boom, you're out of there.
Fun fact, I just golded that mission by 7 seconds, so
Hey,
that was a
let's go.
By the way, did you see if I happened to pick up Red Queen Combo D? I'm pretty sure I did.
You did, yeah, you did.
Just double check. Thanks, homie.
No problem, dude.
Yeah, that's going to be important for Mission 20. But we'll talk about that later.
So we actually get into a stretch of Dante missions here again. Mission 16 here is where we've now picked up the gun. I'm having a hard time saying that about a hat, but it's a gun called Dr. Faust hat. And it allows you to shimmy on the demons like Michael Jackson, and in true Michael Jackson fashion, you can call down meteors by upgrading the gunslinger stance all of the way. So Scruff's just going to drop the fireworks on these dudes, and then he's going to wait for the other enemy to spawn in, and then just take it out with Cavalier. So what we did, in the upgrades that we bought, by the way, were the max upgrade for Gunslinger, which allows us to do that meteor. And we're also going to... he also bought Dr. Faust 2, which just increases the attack power that we're doing. But it also increases the red orb cost of these moves, because yes, the Faust hat, what's unique about it is it uses red orbs to do its moves. This is another thing with the economy in this game, is that you really want to have a healthy economy so that you're never worried about spending too many red orbs on your Dr. Faust. And that meteor costs a pretty decent chunk of change. Take it out with old Cavalier there. This next fight, what he wants to do here is line up a spawn kill on an enemy called the Fury, which is an assassin demon. It teleports around a lot. It doesn't really let you play the game. So he's just going to drop a nuke on these first two dudes, and then just drop a nuke on the good old Fury when it spawns in.
And I didn't get it. That's fine though. We have a backup strat for this one.
Okay, good stuff.
Yeah, because if you happen to mess that up, like killing the Fury with Dr. Faust, you can actually just use Cavalier. And for some reason, Fury has trouble dealing with motorcycles. I don't know why.
You're literally outrunning him, dude. Like, that's kind of a cool strat. Okay.
Have you not seen that before? I think I've done that.
I usually use Balrog with shotgun. That looks much funnier though. That's so good.
I wish I could say I labbed that out and I did a lot of testing to find a good backup, but honestly, I had trouble in a run and I was kind of panicking. And so I just mashed it out, and I was like, wait, this is actually really good. So, yeah, I tend to go for that now.
The best laid plans of mice and men. Gonna use Cavalier here, opting to not use the Falstad meteors here too, because the spawns here are a little bit staggered. I personally prefer to just kind of just drop the orbs on them, but Scruff gonna save a little bit on orbs here by just using Cavalier. And then we're gonna drop more meteors with red orbs. This was my favorite Michael Jackson video, dude, where he dropped the meteors on the people.
Oh yeah, this enemy's called the Blueberry. We've only seen it once before on Mission 13, but this is the last time we've seen it in the run.
I always forget their actual names, so I just call it the Blueberry.
Yeah, I have no idea what it's called, man.
It's like the goats. I barely remember half the time that they're called Baphomets.
So here we got Cerberus coming up, and we're going to be using a Send Devil trigger at the start of this, because it has 3 heads, and the wide attack of Send Devil trigger, just the normal triangle attacks, will actually hit all 3, ideally, at least. It does a lot of damage here.
Yeah, this is like this boss is really, really tanky, even on human difficulty. It just, yeah, like you can see we're coming at it with like basically Dante's Ultra Instinct or Dante's Super Saiyan God, and it's taking it like a champ. It only took out like half its health. There are also different phases to this boss too. It's going to go into the lightning phase now, and it has different attacks depending on what phase it's in. So it always starts out in fire, and then it'll usually go to lightning, and then to ice. Ice is definitely the most dangerous, the one that'll mess you up the most. Fortunately, Scruff has actually avoided it, so he's just going to have to contend with fire mode, and then lay down the pain with the Cavalier. And stun it, that's good, and we're out of here.
Yeah, Cavalier's another good backup there, too. Cavalier's just useful in general throughout the run. If you're in a bad spot, just use it.
Oh, yeah.
So here we fight Urzin for the 1000th time.
Oh, I thought you were going to go off. All right. So, so this is the last fight with Urzin that we actually have. This is where he actually eats the fruit of the Qlipoth, which is the tree that we've been fighting in for most of the game. And he has now become Muay Thai fighter. For some reason, the power of the demonic tree turns you into a kickboxer. We're just not going to question it. It's just anime. So we're going to just actually force him through his phases here. So you don't see him doing anything but these explosions, and that's because he actually has certain health thresholds where he'll always teleport away. And all Scruff was doing there is just doing enough damage to force him to teleport again after he does the big like hand clap into explosion, which does no damage to us. So we just get out of there with no damage taken every time. That guy that was standing there is Dante's brother, Virgil. V was actually the human half of Virgil, and Urzin was the demon half. There's some lore there. We don't really got time for it, so we're just going to instead be Dante and then fight V's pets, who are now trying to defend Virgil. If you must know, though, just think of it like Kingdom Hearts. Urzin is the Heartless, and V is the Nobody. So now these pets are defending Virgil, or V, I should say, or other way around. And this is another sort of DMC1 reference, because all of these bosses are in DMC1, and Virgil was also a boss in DMC1. He was called Nello Angelo in that. So, and the music here is a remix as well from the DMC1 soundtracks. However, they are no match for the power of the King of Pop, and so they just get dusted.
Yeah, Dr. Faust is pretty broken.
Yeah. After all those orbs that we put into Dante to make sure that you get through some of the earlier missions with him really quickly, Faust Hat shows up and it's just like, yep, I'm here now. What you gonna do about it? And then the
So-
nightmare fight here. Go ahead. Yep.
So now we're going to fight against all 3 of the pets at once. And I'm going to be attempting to do a 1 cycle of this fight. And ideally you use the Cavalier and just use let its attacks rock for a little bit. It's looking pretty good so far. Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah, you can really see Cavalier just kind of grinding away there on Nightmare's health. Really nice Rose throw, by the way, to get some Devil Trigger back. Really nice.
Yeah, it can be a little finicky because sometimes the other pets can knock you out of your attacks when you don't have Devil Trigger, or when you're not activating it. But we got through it.
Yeah, so what he did there was he skipped an entire phase where Nightmare would have like faded away into a pile of goop, and we would have had to kill Griffin and Shadow and stuff, but we skipped all that. Now we're going to move on to a fight against our brother Virgil. And we're going to also attempt to drop the Dr. Faust meteor on him. This might take a couple of tries. Sometimes he's nice, sometimes he's not. And so we just want to charge up a level 3 meteor on him. Uh-oh.
It's good RNG.
Very nice. We got him.
Yeah, so sometimes Virgil can be very uncooperative, and surprisingly, he doesn't want you to just one-shot him with Dr. Faust. But we got through. Also, time will be coming up on the last hit of this mission.
Yeah, so real quick, Nero gets his Devil Trigger. He is also a demon, or part of a demon lineage. He's Virgil's son. So now he gets some wings. He drank his Red Bull today. And now Scruff's just going to take out Virgil and end the game. I'll let you call time.
Oh, I messed that up.
Uh-oh.
That's fine. And time. Yeah, so that's a little bit more scuff than I would have liked. That last mission can be very consistent, as long as you hit all the damage thresholds. But we got through it.
Run, dude. GG.
So yeah, that's Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. I guess I'd like to thank Valuethon for having me on for this run. If you are interested in seeing more DMC speedrunning content, feel free to check out the DMC speedrunning Discord. There's a lot of people that are specialized in every DMC speedrun. So a lot of really helpful folks there. So if you're interested in not only learning 5, but any of the other DMCs, feel free to join us. I guess other than that, I don't really have too much else to say. Do you have any parting words, Cosmic?
Thanks for having us, and thank you, Scruff, for having me on commentary, dude. Always a good time.
Yeah, no worries, dude. You had my back. Appreciate it.
Always, man. Always.
All right, so it looks like we do have a few other runs coming up, so make sure you folks stick around. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. So,